What? Why you ain't subscribed yet, bro? It ain't nothing to subscribe, bro. It's free, bro. Hit the subscribe button. Join TOK right now. Don't be a lame. Join the gang, stupid. What's good, YouTube? It's your boy Corey. I can one kayak young Daglick. That's my slogan. Hey, and I'm back with another video, you dig? As y'all can hear, I kind of lost my voice, so y'all gotta kind of bear with me. You feel me? But today we watching 3 true Chuck E. Cheese horror stories. This caught my eye because we all love Chuck E. Cheese when we were little. So let's see what the fuck they time out.
The day was shrouded in a cloak of melancholy as I steered my 6-year-old son through the doors of Chuck E. Cheese. Even though it was just 2 blocks down from my place, this was the first time I was visiting it in almost a year. It was a deliberate choice, marking 1 year since the universe cruelly snatched my husband, Anthony, from us. He had worked at this very outlet, a job he took up after abruptly quitting his position at a funeral home. Anthony had been—
That's a crazy change, ain't it? Nigga went from a funeral home, changing dead people and stuff, to hanging out with little kids and a grown-ass man inside of a
changed man after an incident involving the embalming of a dead priest. It had changed this cheerful, lovely man to a secretive, paranoid human in a matter of days. Whatever had transpired during that time, he took its secrets to the grave. His tenure at Chuck E. Cheese was tragically short. One fateful night, as he worked the late shift, a grotesque accident with a malfunctioning Chuck E. animatronic claimed his life.
Damn.
Now, a year later, returning to this place felt like a silent homage to him, a bridge to the brief memories my son held of his father. The visit started innocuously enough, with my son's laughter echoing
He whipping that hoe
through the arcade. He darted from game to game, his face alight with joy, occasionally pausing to munch down slices of pizza. I watched him, each of his giggles a bittersweet symphony that filled the air around me.
So your kid out there having fun, playing games and shit, and you over here sitting down drinking the juice the whole time? See, I can never be this type of parent. Me, I'm right there with you, my boy. If you gonna have fun, I'm gonna have fun too.
Excitement, the way his eyes sparkled with each new discovery. It felt like a living memory.
Ugh, why her neck look like that? It look like these.
A piece of Anthony still vibrant.
Like her shit odd. Like her shit goes straight. She ain't got no chin. That's the problem. Like her shit goes straight from head to neck to yeah. Like her shit
alive in our
I think it's because it's the way she turned.
But in an instant, that warmth turned to ice. I looked away for a mere moment, lost in my reverie, and when my gaze returned to where my son had been playing, he was gone. Panic clawed at my throat as I called out his name, my voice lost amidst the cacophony of games and children's shouts. Desperation drove my steps as I wove through the crowd, my eyes searching frantically for any sign of him. The Chuck E. Cheese staff, noticing my distress, quickly rallied to assist. They were kind, their faces etched with concern, but the growing fear in my heart overshadowed their reassurances. Evan, a staff member, helped me. We scoured the place, our search turning more frantic with each
step into Wix Studio.
That boy Evan not playing.
Passing minute. The staff made repeated announcements over the PA system, and some empathetic patrons joined our search, their eyes mirroring my worry. Even the CCTV footage was scrutinized by Evan, but it offered no clues. My son had simply disappeared within the walls of Chuck E. Cheese. As the place began to empty, the atmosphere thickened with an eerie quiet. It was then, in the dimming light and the fading echoes of the day's joy, that Evan made a chilling observation. There were 5 animatronics, a mainstay of Chuck E. Cheese.
I remember these shits, bro.
At that outlet.
I remember these animatronics, bro. This nigga right here, that boy terrified me. Him and Chucky terrified me, bro. They used to be on the stage like, they used to be hitting that hoe.
But when Evan counted, he came up 1 short. One of the life-size Chucky figures was missing. Our search became more targeted, leading us behind the scenes to the staff-only areas where remnants of joy gave way to silent corridors and locked doors. And then, breaking the stillness, we heard it. The unmistakable sound of my son's laughter of the locked doors. We called out to him, our voices tinged with both relief and fear. He didn't respond. The laughter continued, haunting sound that seemed out of place in the deserted back rooms. Evan, sensing the urgency, shouldered the door open with a
Get in there then, Evan. Get in there then, Evan. Let's go.
forceful push. As the door swung open with a
What the fuck?
resounding crash, we stepped into a scene that was as surreal as it was chilling. There, in the middle of the room, sat my son. He was cross-legged on the floor, his back to us, engaged in what seemed like a conversation with an animatronic Chuck E. Cheese. The room was unlike any other part of the establishment. It was smaller, almost claustrophobic, with walls adorned with pagan symbols and cryptic drawings.
I would have said, bro, rule number one in life, bro, for survival of the fittest. Fuck that little nigga, man. As soon as I would have saw that, fuck you, bro. You feel me? I don't even know you no more, son. That's exactly what I would say, and I would have went about my day, bro.
Candles flickered in the dim light, casting eerie shadows that danced across the walls. The air was heavy, saturated with a sense of foreboding that made me shudder. "Honey?" I called out tentatively, my voice a mix of relief and dread. My son turned his face, lighting up upon seeing me, but there was a strangeness in his eyes that I couldn't place.
Mommy! Daddy was talking to me through Chucky!
He explained, pointing at the animatronic figure. His words sent a cold shiver down my spine. Anthony? Speaking through an animatronic? The animatronic itself was unnervingly still, its painted eyes staring blankly ahead. It was a grotesque parody of the cheerful mascot, its presence in the macabre setting a twisted mockery. As I moved to pick up my son, the animatronic's head suddenly turned to face me. Its mechanical voice, unnaturally cheerful, rang out.
Hi, Susan! You look gorgeous as ever!
I froze, my heart pounding in my chest. This was impossible, yet the familiar use of my name, the tone, it was unmistakably Anthony's, but how could that be? The animatronic, now animated with a life of its own, began to speak in Anthony's voice. It told a tale that was as heartbreaking as it was horrifying. Anthony had been haunted by the spirit of the dead priest he had embalmed, driven to set up this secret room for communing with the spirit. But the spirit had been malevolent, seeking a way to break free, leading to the tragic accident that took Anthony's life.
Damn.
Now, as a spirit himself, Anthony had found a way to communicate through the animatronic, waiting a year to speak to our son. The revelation was overwhelming, and I found myself drawn into a conversation with my husband's spirit. He spoke of a ritual, a way for him to come back to life. My heart ached with longing and hope. Evan protested, warning of the dangers of meddling with such forces.
Why the fuck Evan's still standing here? She having a cordial conversation with a talking animatronic. Fuck out of here.
But I was too consumed by grief and the desire to have Anthony back. But then, a chilling moment shattered the illusion. During our conversation, the animatronic, supposedly channeling Anthony, failed to recall the name of our pet dog, a detail Anthony would never forget. It was then I realized the horrifying truth. It wasn't Anthony's spirit, but the malevolent priest impersonating him. Panic set in as we realized the danger we were in. We turned to flee, but the animatronic lurched to life, chasing us with jerky, unnatural movements. My son clung to me, his cries piercing the tense air as we dashed through the maze-like back corridors of Chuck E. Cheese. The chase was nightmarish, the animatronic's mechanical laughter echoing through the halls as we ran. In a horrifying turn, Evan was injured, leaving me to navigate the twisting corridors with my son in tow.
Nigga always getting injured, bro. Nigga can't handle the heat, man. Get out the kitchen, bro.
Soon, the evil Chucky had cornered me and my son. I swear to God, I had almost given up then. All I wanted was for my son.
Where the fuck Evan go? I told you, survival of the fittest.
To be safe. That's when I saw a reflection in a piece of glass. It was Anthony's spirit, It was a fleeting image, but it gave me a sliver of hope. His spirit guided an axe to fall beside me, and with a surge of adrenaline, I picked it up and swung it with all my might, once and again, severing the animatronic Chucky into pieces. Grabbing my son, we rushed out of the building. The angry howls of the priest spirit
It's new season of Walking Dead, you know what I'm saying, nigga, you know what I'm saying?
echoing behind us as the lights flickered wildly. We escaped into the night, the horrors of Chuck E. Cheese behind us. But the memory of that night would haunt us forever.
Shit, I hope so.
When it happened, my family and I were visiting Chuck E. Cheese, which was once the best pizzeria in town. It was my birthday, and my parents wanted to treat me with the best food and entertainment money could buy, within our budget, of course. Now, at first, you might be thinking that I'm the victim of this story. No, far
Bitch,
from
you
it.
not 7?
I was only a witness. At the time, it was
Oh.
just my sister and I, along with our parents. Margaret was around 5 years old. It had just turned 5 in the afternoon when we pulled up in the car park outside, and the weather was far too cold to stay out in for too long. Once we were out of the car, we hurried inside as a flood of people came rushing out, all walking to their cars. It must have been the entire restaurant that left, as the second we were inside, we realized that it was just us. The restaurant was practically empty. As my eyes scanned over the room, I was quite shocked at the state of the place. There were tipped over tables, food splattered against the floor, and not a worker in sight to deal with any of it.
Do you want to go somewhere else, Kathy?
My father asked. There's gotta be at least one table still free. Could we have a look? My father smiled.
Of course we can, honey.
Just as the four of us started walking, my eyes tracked something moving in the far side of the room. I turned my head to follow it. I was now staring at the face of Chuck E. Cheese himself, his head poking halfway out of a door that read backstage. I felt my skin shiver as it began.
Man, y'all motherfuckers just be like putting yourself through the most traumatic shit. Why the fuck would you stay in this Chuck E. Cheese? Look at this. Look at the scenery. Look at how it looks. Not a worker in sight. That shit fucked all the way up like a Birkin bar in like a Wild Wild West movie. Why the fuck is y'all here? I don't see
sinking
not one video game in sight.
further and further back into the door, closing it slowly behind him. Suddenly, my ears pricked up at the sound of the animatronics as they began playing a new song, at the same time that my mother called out that she had spotted a table. Found one! We all swiveled around. The relatively untouched table sat motionless in the opposite corner of the room. It was right below the stage and extremely close to the backstage door from earlier. I had another scan around the room, but that really was the best we were gonna get. So, cutting our losses, we all went and sat down.
Ah, that's right. There aren't any workers here.
My father pointed out. I need the toilet, Margaret wailed.
Okay, Catherine, you take Maggie to the toilet, and your mother and I'll try and find some bloody service around here.
No.
And with that,
One of the
two of
adults
them
go with
stood
the
up
kids.
and began
the other
prowling
one
the area
go
for
find
signs
service.
of life.
What the fuck are y'all
I
doing?
took Margaret's hand and began leading her over towards the toilet. To my surprise, the sign for the toilet was plastered right over where the backstage sign had been. Just a few meters away, I saw backstage written on an entirely separate door. I thought I might have just made it up in my head, so I pulled Margaret towards the one that had toilet written across it. On our way, I started to notice more and more about the establishment. The place looked borderline derelict, as if left untouched for years, left to rot. How were people still visiting? As we came closer to the door, I stopped to peer at it. There were these foul and grubby finger marks plastered all over it. I ignored it again. If the rest of the place looked so disgusting, then it was no surprise that the door would be the same. I could see Margaret needed the toilet badly. She was starting to squirm. I took a deep breath, placed my hand on the door, and in we went. It was completely pitch black inside. As I tried to find the light switch, taking Margaret's hand behind me, I led the both of us along the wall, searching for it. We had only moved a couple of meters, but the darkness had completely enveloped the both of us, even though the door was still wide open, letting just enough light in for us to see a figure pop up from behind us. The light suddenly cut out as the door slammed shut. Someone was in there with us. I held Margaret close to me, staring at where the door was. A red light suddenly appeared. the face of
So you 7 years old, and you see this right here with your little sister. What in all honesty can you possibly do other than blame your fucking parents? Why the fuck did both of the parents go look for workers? I don't know what generation of day and age y'all live in, but the parents go with the kids to the bathroom, bro.
Chuck E. Cheese appeared with it. It hovered for a moment, not moving, just staring. After just a few seconds, it vanished. I held Margaret even tighter as I began sprinting away in the darkness. I couldn't see where I was going, but any direction was better than the one that led to that thing. The panic blinded me. I ran straight into a wall, almost with enough force to knock myself out. For a moment, I lay on the ground, dazed and confused. Once I regained some sense, I realized that my hand had let go of Margaret's. I went into a frenzy. I threw my body around the floor, begging to find her, but to no avail. Hope was slipping until I heard a shuffling noise emerge from behind me, followed by a muffled scream. Got you. I only had one choice. I leapt up and shrieked as loud as I could. All of a sudden, a stampede of loud footsteps came charging towards the door from the outside. The room filled with light as my parents came storming in.
What are you doing back here?
At that moment, I realized we weren't in the bathroom at all. I was backstage. My parents' eyes soon stopped staring at me when all three of us noticed the Chuck E. Cheese mascot standing in the corner of the room, right next to the exit door. One of its hands was leaning on it. The other clutched hold of Margaret. There was a large gash on her forehead. Her eyes were closed. I turned back to face my father, but he was already charging towards it. In response, the mascot dropped Margaret and threw itself out the door. My dad lost it down the alleyway outside. After that, we called both the police and an ambulance for Margaret. The police investigated the place and found bodies scattered all over. There were a few under the stage, but the main lot were all stuffed behind boxes backstage. Margaret had been this close to joining them. Shortly after, the police shut the place down. The mascot responsible for it all was never caught. However, the police had managed to find the costume. They reported that it was filled with dried blood and bits of rotten flesh. Nobody knows what happened to the person inside. Our family never returned to a Chuck E. Cheese after that. Every costume could be hiding the murderer. It was only a matter of time.
What the fuck, nigga? I ain't say a word because I was so locked in. That was very, very interesting. I ain't gonna lie. That shit had me locked. But I hope y'all like that shit, man. Like, comment, subscribe for more of that. That was very entertaining. That last one was very entertaining. That dad said, "What are you doing?" Stupid ass. So I hope you like the video, man. Like, comment, subscribe for more videos of being with Corey. One cock young. That's my slogan. I'll catch y'all in the next video, bro. Keep God in your life, funny.
I want to be the greatest in the world. Not for the money and the fame and the girls. Not for the car keys or the jet skis, but the vacation to the West Indies.